Welcome to A-Level Business, Chapter 46, SWOT Analysis, Theme 3. So, in this chapter, we're going to look at internal considerations and external considerations. So, before we begin, let's have a look at strategy and let's have a look at how we gather information to help develop a strategy. So as we've learned in the previous chapter, that strategy is the long-term plan that a business creates in order to meet their objective. So things that they plan that they're going to do so that they can meet their corporate objectives. Now, to do that, to come up with a plan, you need information. You need to understand what you have in your business, what resources you have, what kind of risks you face, and what kind of plans you need to put in place. So you have something called the internal audit, which is an analysis of the business itself and how it operates. Okay, so it attempts to identify the strengths and weaknesses of its operations. Okay, so it might cover things such as products and their costs, products and their quality and their development, or it could cover finance, including profit, assets, cash flow, or maybe how the production works, including the capacity, the quality, the efficiency, and stock management, and etc. So that's all internal within the business. It's an analysis of the business itself and how it operates. So that's an internal audit, and we do that in order to gather information to help develop a strategy. Next, we could do an external audit. We could have an external audit. Now, an external audit is an analysis of the environment in which the business operates. So the environment in which the business operates in and over which it has no control. And over which it has little or no control. So the external environment of the business doesn't have much control over it, but it does seriously affect the business. Now, for example, the size and growth potential of the market, characteristics of the customers in the market in which the business is operating in, the products on offer, the pricing structure, how products are promoted, all these sorts of things help to conduct an external audit. Now, after you've gathered all this information, after you've gathered the information that you need as a business, what must you do? So you must conduct a SWOT analysis. Now let's have a look at what this is. So it is helpful if the information gathered can be summarized and presented in a meaningful way. So once you've gathered the information that you need, you do need to make it presentable and present it in a way that's understandable, that's easy to use, and it's convenient. Because in business, you don't have a lot of time to come up with plans, to come up with ways with all sorts of information gathered and use that and then pick out the things. You need everything to be organized. You can't just gather the information and then go through each piece of information one by one. You have to pick out the best bit and present it in a way that's meaningful or easy to understand. So that's why we have the SWOT analysis. So this involves looking at the internal strengths and weaknesses of a business and the external opportunities and the threats that it faces. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and finally threats. So that's what the SWOT in the SWOT analysis stands for. You look at the internal strengths and weaknesses of a business, and then you look at the external opportunities and the threats that the business faces. Let's have a look at strengths. So these are the positive aspect. These are the positive aspects of a business that may be identified from the internal audit. These are what the business is good at. It might be a product, it might be a product design, a product life, or it might be just state-of-the-art production facilities, or even a loyal customer base. So it all depends on what the business is good at. Those are regarded as strengths. Next, you've got weaknesses. Now, these are the negative aspects of a business. So that may be identified through the internal audit. So you look through your business operations and you see that's something that the business lacks or does poorly, poor customer service maybe, a poor cash flow, a poor financials, maybe in relation to its competitor, you have outdated tools and machinery. These are all weaknesses. And finally, once you've analyzed the internal strengths and weaknesses, you go to the external part of the business, which is where the opportunities lie. And the external audit should show up what opportunities are available to the business. These are options or openings that a business might be able to exploit. Okay, and these can result in improvements in revenues or profits. Now, an example of an opportunity could be a fall in the cost of an essential raw material, such as oil, low interest rates, which provide cheap finance for investment, the collapse of a major rival in the market, a gap in the market, a fall in the exchange rate, which will make exports cheaper. So depending on the type of business it is, the options and openings will be the opportunities that the business might be able to exploit. Next, you've got threats. The T in the SWOT analysis stands for threats. This is also an important one because this shows possible hazards or perils that have the potential to damage the performance of the business. So hurt the business performance. And what could hurt the business performance? Maybe a new entrant in the market, a new competitor, a recession, or maybe there's new legislation aimed at improving the rights of employees. That could raise your costs, that could create problems for the business, a change in social attitudes towards the business's key product. So all of these are threats, potential threats that could create problems for the business. So with that, this chapter is complete, the SWOT analysis. This is theme 3, chapter 46, SWOT analysis, Edexcel Business A-Level. Before I finish quickly, here is an example of what the actual SWOT analysis might look like if a business does it for a specific problem. So here is an example of the SWOT analysis of a leadership program being introduced in a firm. So as you can see, we have highlighted the factors, the internal factors and the external factors, some of the strengths and weaknesses, and some of the opportunities and some of the threats.